Welcome back to the TED Show. I have a lady coming to me all the way from down under today. This is Joanne Colely.
Yes.
Joanne is I'm just going to call her a guru of all things, and I'm going to let her tell you her story. But I want to share, you can see it scrolling across your link there. Be the person who says, I can't believe I did that, rather than I wish I'd done that. I love that positive outcome. I love that positive thought process, and I'm excited for you to be on the show. Welcome, Joanne. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. It's very cold down here.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's your winter down there, right?
Oh my goodness. Yes, it is. Yes, I'm very jealous. I think you guys have summer. I want to make
We
a
are
swap.
summer. I'm in Orlando, Florida, which is summer a lot
Oh,
all year long, mostly. But I'm very honored to have you on the show. I love when I have Australian guests, New Zealand guests. I've had guests from all over the world, and it's always a pleasure. But let's take it. Let's start going. Tell us a little bit about you. People love to hear the journey, and I think you've got a great one. So share a little bit with us.
thank you. Thank you. Well, look, for 20 years, I worked in corporate. I worked in Google and Yellow Pages for a really, really long time. And then one day I just got into my 40s and I went, you know what? I just don't want to live like this anymore. I had a big life change and I needed to start all over again. Became a single mom. And I thought, you know what? I want to get up and love what I do. And, I had to really dig deep and go, well, what do I love? And for 10
A lot of
years,
people don't know. A lot of people don't know. You think you know what you don't want, but you
yes.
don't know what you do want.
Well, you know what's so interesting? I believe that every single one of us has a gift. Every single one of us was born with a gift. And I don't know, something happens to us as we go along. And just like what Jim Carrey said, if his father could have been the greatest comedian the world's ever seen, but
Yeah.
he decided to do the sensible thing and become an accountant and do, the sensible job. And they ended up living in a car, and the rest, as they say, is history. And Jim Carrey said, well, you know what that taught me was I would rather fail at doing something that I love than fail at doing something that I don't love.
Perfect.
And so for many years, for 10 years, I was told that I was no good at painting. And I believed that, and I listened, and I didn't. And then one day I went, you know what? I love it. I'm just going to do it anyway. And fast forward 3 years later, I've raised $250,000 by painting famous people. So I painted the Prime Minister of Australia. I painted Daniel Ricciardo, Kelly Slater. I'm trying to think of all the ones you might know, Dr. Charlie Teo, and more recently, the Duchess of York, which is really, really exciting. So, it just goes to show when you stop listening. And, I last year, I actually decided to enter all these competitions. And one of them was to win a trophy in Las Vegas. Now, I've never been to
In the
the US,
States.
and I thought, how amazing, extraordinary would that be to get up on stage where Elvis Presley sang and get my very first ever trophy. So I've been asked to be in a show that's being pitched to Netflix at the moment called Project Manifest. And I had a week to go before I had to get to Las Vegas, but I didn't have any money because I give it all away to charity. And I said to the producer, what a shame, because wouldn't it be wonderful to get on stage and actually experience that? And she said, Joe, if anyone can do it, it's you. So long story, I'm up on stage at the Crown raising money for breast cancer. And 4 people came up to me and said, I love your painting. And can you do one for me? And I said, well, that depends. I need to be in Vegas in 7 days. You're going to need to pay up front. So I rang all 4 of them on the Monday. 2 of
Wow.
them didn't answer. One of them said they were too drunk. And I thought so, but I thought I better ask. And the fourth one said, yes, get yourself to Vegas. So 1 week later, there I am on stage holding my very first trophy. And you know what I said, Ted? I said, this is for all those artists out there who were told they had to die to be successful. I'm out there to prove that you can do anything if you just set your mind to it.
Where does that spirit come from? Have you always had you have a very positive spirit about you? Have you always had that? Because it
Yeah.
takes a lot to make a shift in our lives, which is why, like you mentioned, Jim Carrey's dad didn't do it. It's a big undertaking for a lot of people, and they don't want to make the leap. But you did. Was the spirit always there in you?
I think so. I think I definitely went through some dark times in my life, but you have a choice at one point. I think, one thing my daughter actually said to me, she said, Mom, you can be a warrior or you can be a warrior.
I love that. I love
Isn't
that.
it great?
That's so true, because it's the same. It's basically different energy, but the same amount of energy. It's where your focus is. A worrier takes a lot of energy. Think about the people who worry all the time. They're always exhausted, depressed. It's not a great place to live. Or you can be a warrior. I love that.
Yes. Well, it's what you just touched on is something I'm very passionate about. Is with my art, I also teach motivational art classes, and I teach them to kids who are getting bullied and have low self-esteem and low self-confidence. But I also teach adults who think that they can't. That is my absolute avatar, is someone who thinks they can only draw a stick man, because I have never, ever in my life found someone that I can't teach. They can't walk away doing something that they're really proud of. And then I say to them, look, I have already proven to you that you can do something that you didn't think you can do. So tomorrow I want you to walk away and go, you know what? What else do I think I can't do? And I think that's what our journey is. And that's why, coming back to what I wanted to call this speech, is I never want to say, I wish I'd done that. I want to say, I can't believe I did that. So when I was asked to be on this show, I thought, you know what? I want to do some really extraordinary things that, I wouldn't normally do. So I decided to go out and look for people who needed help. And I found a little girl and a little boy who really needed uplifting. And long story, but I ended up getting the girl on a hot air balloon. And I got her to sing when we were up in the clouds and did a whole heap of stuff. And the parents recently wrote to me and said, Jo, you have no idea the impact you had on our daughter. She was only 14 years old and she'd actually made attempts to her life. And they said, whatever you did, this was 6 months ago, she's now returned back to school. She now has friends. She's now won a full scholarship for WAPA. And you made her believe in herself again. And I thought, you know what? That's what it is. If you can help just one person, then the journey, like you say, the journey that you go through in life, it becomes worth it. I wouldn't change a thing. And I had to go through a journey where I did have to lose everything and start again in my 40s. It wasn't an easy thing. And it was really interesting because I actually came out from the corporate, decided that I needed to teach. And in my 40s, I'm halfway through a teaching degree. And then I looked around and there's all 20-something-year-olds around me. And I'm heading towards 50. And I thought, jeepers, who's going to hire me? I need to stand out. So I thought, I need to be a famous artist. Now, you can imagine what people are saying, looking at me, yeah, Jo, oh, God, another one of your ideas. But, who would have thought all those years that I wasted listening, to someone who told me I was no good. And it's
that's what we do. We let those people in. We let those people in over the people who are our supporters, because honestly, I feel like for a lot of people, it's easier to accept the negativity because then you have an excuse as to why you're not making the leap.
Oh my God, I'm going to put that in my next book.
It's true though. Like you listen to them. I've done the same thing. I mean, you listen to that because it feeds into your whatever your narrative is in your brain to, okay, well, I can't do that. Look, somebody just told me that. So I can't take that leap, even though my soul and my spirit are telling me you need to do something else. You have a better, bigger purpose. So kudos to you for pouring into people. And I like to ask people like you who pour in, what do you do to recharge? What's your recharge? Because you can't pour from an empty cup or an empty pitcher, they say. What do you do to recharge?
Oh, you know what? Well, my recharge is I love helping people. Like, that's my biggest thing. So I find sponsors and I'm like, you know what? How about we go and do this and find a kid and give them a whole new gaming system? And I found this boy who was had a very rare disease, and he was about to lose the use of his legs at 14. And I thought, oh my God, I just can't imagine. So I went and found out who his favorite basketball player was, which was Bryce Cotton. I don't know if you guys know of him. I think he's actually from America.
Yes, he is.
Oh, yes. So I met him, got him to sign the painting. I painted him. And then Nat Fyfe, very famous football player over here. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to surprise him. So I went to his home and surprised him and set up his whole bedroom with this gaming system. But I didn't realize, and I also donated another painting. So I raised thousands for this little boy. But I didn't realize how fancy this gaming system was, Ted. When they came, it was all rainbow lights and, I don't know anything about this kind of stuff. But his mum burst out crying and he had tears. And again, just recently the mum said to me, Jo, again, you've got no idea the difference you've made on this little boy, because now he didn't have many friends, but now because of this gaming system, he's now got friends all over the world and he can communicate, and that's made all the difference. When he's really down, he's got to have another operation. He's just got this support network, and I don't understand it because I suck at computing.
I'm terrible at it. But that feeds you. That helps feed you. What's next on your journey? Like, do you have obviously you're constantly evolving. You've allowed yourself that, which the universe then begins to give you more opportunities to evolve. What's next on Joanne Colely's plate and plans?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's so much. There's some things I can tell you and some things that are still secret. So we may have to have another catch up so I can tell you all the exciting stuff as well. But there's a giant, I don't know if you're familiar with Perth, but in the center of Perth, there is a giant light up digital tower that's very famous. And I always, in my bucket list that I always write at the start, when you said about recharge, you always got to have goals, no matter how outlandish they are. And I write, I want my artwork. I feel like if my artwork is on that digital tower in the center of Perth, lit up at night, that I've made it as an artist. And then, you know what? I didn't even call them to organize it, which is highly unusual for me. I just waited for it to come to me, which is like, guys, you can't do that. Anyway, but it actually came to me. They said, hey, we've heard about you, Jo. Long story short, this Friday, my artwork is going to be up on the Yagan Tower. Anyway, I got chatting with him and I said, oh, this is bucket list stuff. Can't believe you've asked me. This is a huge honor. And then I said, but you know what? I also teach people who need uplifting. I'm also helping people with disabilities and mental issues and all that kind of stuff. And I'm loving some of the feedback I'm getting from the family. Wouldn't it be wonderful if their artwork from my art classes, we could surprise them and put their artwork up on that tower, or some of these kids that need something exciting to look forward to, let's make them know at a young age that anything is possible. So all of a sudden I'm now allowed to announce that that's just what we're going to do.
Amazing. That's what I love about your spirit. And this is the first time that we've met and chatted, is that you are always, it may be good for you, but you want it to be good for more people. You want the gift and the blessings to impact more people. And that's such a beautiful thing in this day and age. And I 100% guarantee that for so many of these people, you're a hero, which brings me to my last question. When I say the words, I believe you're a hero to people. I honestly do. From what you're saying and your spirit, people look up to you and you've changed and impacted their lives. When I say the word hero to you, who's the first person that comes to mind?
My mom and my husband.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
Oh my goodness. Well, look, my husband is my knight in shining armor. He came to me on my 40th birthday. I hadn't seen him for 25 years.
Wow.
And he suddenly found out I had this birthday and I happened to be single. And it was just, love at first sight. Absolutely. And he has changed everything in my life. He made me because we went to art school together, and he's like, Joey, why aren't you doing your art? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't know. So, I feel like it was serendipity, and I think everything happens for a reason. And I think I was ready to make a change then. I don't think I was ready before that, because I was very much about, oh no, you have to do this, but I think sometimes you have to have a catalyst in your life. You have to have something that makes you wake up and go, hang on a minute, I don't think I'm living my best life here. And, I've got 2 daughters that I really need to not tell them what to do, but show them, show them. But coming back, and my mom is like my best friend. When you said to me, you listen to the bad stuff, it frustrates my mum, because she's like, I always told you could do it. I'm like, I know.
We have to figure that out on we really do. Our spirit, our soul, we have to be ready. We have to be ready to accept that. And sometimes it just takes a lot. And sometimes, like Jim Carrey's dad, it never happens. And what a blessing to the world that you accepted that, and that you have begun to bless other people. Tell people how they can find out more about you, Joanne. I definitely want you to come back on. I want people to find you, learn more about you, learn more about your art and all the amazing things you're doing for our world.
Fantastic. Well, look, I've got some castle adventures. I'm going to be going overseas very soon. I'm going to be running art retreats in Tuscany. It's going to be an under the Tuscany sun theme, where we go to all the scenes of the movie, and lots more, but I can't really say. But there'll be some children coming up. There'll be one that I've written myself, and one that I'm doing for someone very, very prominent, which, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say yet, but you'll find out very, very soon.
I love it.
But if you follow me on Joanne and then _Colely _art on Instagram, on Facebook, Joanne Colely, or my website, which needs updating. But I'm also have a TikTok, which is Joanne Colely Art. So yeah, I'm always updating my adventures. I'm always doing crazy things. Just quickly, one thing I want to say, because I think it's so much fun, is I decided to challenge myself. When you said about revitalizing, I decided to spend the night in a haunted chapel.
Wow.
And so I found a team of Ghostbusters, like paranormal activity specialists, and that was an adventure in itself. But I think that might be shown on the TV on the show next year. So that's a bit
amazing.
You'll have a giggle.
Amazing. You're a huge blessing. I love your spirit. I said it before. You all follow Joanne Colely on Instagram. It's Joanne _Colely _art on Instagram. You can go to her website, which needs updating per her, but that's okay. I think all of our websites need that. What a blessing to have you on the show. Please come back on anytime. What an inspiration. If you're a struggling artist or struggling with anything, you definitely want to check out all the stuff that Joanne's doing, because you too can make that leap just like she did. And you too can stop listening to all the negative voices and start listening to the positive ones. Thank you, Joanne, for being on the show. What a blessing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a wonderful, is it day or night over
It's
there?
day. It's day here.
Ah,
So you have a wonderful evening. And
yes.
I would love to have you back on. You guys will be back soon. Thank you so much, Joanne.